Good afternoon. I'm Sergeant Michael Hammond. According to your program, Sergeant Chris Matanovich was listed as the Master of Ceremonies, but due to the nonstop work that comes into our station, he's on an assignment. I would like to thank all of you for taking the time to be here with us today for our Fallen Officers Memorial. By your attendance here today, you show everybody how the memory of not just our fallen brothers, but the brothers and sisters from across the country that have given the ultimate sacrifice will never be forgotten. With this in mind, I would like to read our FOP President, Mr. Paul Maldonado, was unable to attend, but I have his speech. I'm sorry. Let's remain standing for the posting of the colors by the Hammond FOP 51 and Hammond Police Department Honor Guard.
Mark, time. Honor guard. Halt.
Officers, present.
Present.
Let us bow our heads. Loving Lord and protector of peace, as we gather to remember those who have fallen in the service of our community, we ask that you grant them eternal rest. Grant also peace to us in our days. Bless the families of those who have lost in the service of this community and this country. We ask you to watch over us and guide us always, you who live and reign forever and ever.
Now I would like to share with you Corporal Paul Maldonado, our Hammond FOP President's speech. First of all, thank you for being with us today. The first thing I would like to do is mention our retired brothers that we have lost this past year. Burton Dwight Beeman, Stephen Summers, Benedict Stadola, John Maslowitz. Could we please have a moment of silence for our deceased brothers? Thank you. Friends, brothers and sisters, this is our Memorial Day. Find us assembled for the purpose of paying our much-deserved respect to the memory of those brothers and sisters who gave the ultimate sacrifice while performing their duties for the citizens of Hammond. We, as they did, have dedicated ourselves to the preservation of law and order to the community. We stand here in their absence to renew our dedication and assure them that they did not die in vain. Their names haven't been engraved on these memorial walls to always remind us that ours is a duty not only to the living, but also to those who have pioneered our profession and those who have gave the ultimate sacrifice. We accept the challenge. We will continue the well-traveled path to rid our society of those who disrupt our peaceful way of living. We know of no more of a glorious way to honor the memory of these fallen brothers and sisters than to be constantly vigilant and combat the evil that took these brave heroes from our society. May we always have the strength to carry on the tradition for which they gave their most precious possession. May we never forget the loved ones, our fallen brothers and sisters. We owe them our dedication. May those who survive live in peace in our community of freedom. Another moment of silence for our fellow brothers that have given the sacrifice. Thank you. I would like to play one musical selection of Why Do Heroes Have to Die by Brian Phillips. He's a LaPorte, Indiana police officer.
It was a quiet night in late July when her world came tumbling down. When she answered the door, she fell to her knees. Things would never be the same. Another hero falls. A single mother tries to make things right for the children left behind. They'll see their daddy's name engraved on a wall. They will light a flame for him after the hero falls. Another hero falls.
It's interesting timing to come out and talk to you guys. One of the nice things when I took over as mayor is realizing that every year Hammond Police Department salutes the 7 Hammond officers that made the ultimate sacrifice. I think that's a really nice thing, and it's something that's been going on a long time and continue to be going on a long time. I'm sure the families really appreciate that, and I'm sure it reassures you to know that if you are the one that makes the ultimate sacrifice, then we'll continue to honor your memory as well. And your job is different. There's no doubt about it. You know, the city of Hammond's a tough city to be the mayor of. It's a tough city to run, and without you out there 24 hours a day protecting us, making our city safe, you know, driving to the scene of the crime when there's a crime instead of running away like normal people do. You guys have to make decisions where if you make the wrong decision, it can cost you your life. I mean, nobody has to tell you that. You signed up for it. And you guys also have to make decisions that if you make the slightest mistake in this modern world, it can be amplified across the United States of America. And you can be ridiculed, and that's a tough job you have. And I want you to know that we all realize how tough you work, how tough your job is, and consequences you face, even if it's not the ultimate sacrifice, the consequences you face. And I, speaking on behalf of the city, I appreciate what you do. I really do. You know, you never want to prioritize one department over another, but if we lose public safety in the city of Hammond, you know, we're going to lose our city, and you guys are preventing that from happening, and you always have, and I appreciate it as your mayor. And I forgot to introduce one excellent elected official, but she's going to be speaking next anyway. I didn't want to give any disrespect to the elected official right behind me. First Hammond police officer, female police officer, and also State Rep Linda Lawson. Thank you very much, Linda. In light of everything that happened over the last couple of weeks, I was glad I got an opportunity to come up here and tell you guys how much we appreciate what you do. And realizing that the slightest mistake is amplified times 100 because it belongs to a police officer. So thank you. Continue to be safe. You know, it's been a long time, fortunately for us, since anything tragic happened in our department. And, you know, I'd like to keep it that way. So again, Hammond Police Department, family members of the Hammond Police Department, retired members of the Hammond Police Department, thank you for what you do, sincerely.
Thank you, Mayor McDermott. I would now like to introduce our keynote speaker. This individual was a 24-year veteran of the Hammond Police Department. A member of the Sex Crimes and Domestic Violence Divisions, she became the first female to attain the rank of captain, in fact, the first female sworn officer of the department. She then was elected November 3rd, 1998 as the District 1 State Representative and has continued to serve since. She is also a member of the Hammond School Board and on the Courts and Criminal Code Committee, and was on at least 9 more committees prior to that. She was chosen by the Indiana House Democrats as their minority leader on July 26, 2012, at which time another first of a woman to head the caucus in the Indiana House of Representatives. It is my pleasure to introduce State Representative Linda Lawson.
Thank you for that introduction. I really appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. I just need to mention that it was a little over 40 years ago that I walked into City Hall and I asked for an application to become a police officer. I absolutely have no idea in a million years what I was thinking. And here we are today. But I can't tell you how much I appreciate the invitation and what it means to me to stand here before you today. In 1962, our president at the time, President Kennedy, signed a proclamation designating May 15th and the week that which it falls in to be the National Peace Officers Memorial Week. Today, we are here remembering those officers that paid the ultimate price, protecting the citizens of Hammond, Indiana. Each of these peacemakers have earned their own seat in heaven. Each of their stories is a tragedy, for these 7 men did not die, they were murdered in the line of duty. These 7 died because of selfishness, they died because of cruelty, and they died because of the disregard of law and order. We should feel more than angry. We should feel rage because it was an affront to each one of us. Detective Sergeant Leo Fox, Captain George Hanlon, Patrolman John Gurka, Patrolman Donald Cook, Patrolman Frank Dunn, Patrolman Larry Paselic, Sergeant Ernest Malatinka. These 7 noble men that we remember today, they would certainly be very grateful for the thanks, and they would be touched by our tears and our gratefulness. But if they could speak, they would tell us all to stay strong. They would tell the Hammond police officers today, continue to protect life, continue to protect peace, and continue to protect property of this country and our great city. Well, this day and week is a way to give silent thanks to those 7 men and the 316 names that were added to the Police Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. It's also a great time and an opportunity to recognize the greatness and of the brave women and men that serve today the Hammond Police Department. Police work today is not the same. It's not the same at all. Officers face specific concerns of today's times. The proliferation of guns in the hands of criminals, the complex problems of mental illness and drug use, the economic stagnation and greed, both are acts of aggression. And of course, officers must always and every day care for their own emotional and physical struggles. There's not a day that goes by that I do not thank the Hammond Police Department for what they do in their service to our community. My heart and my prayers go to them every day. So you see them on the street, you see them directing traffic, and you see them out in a restaurant maybe. So thank them. Thank them every day, because while you're sleeping at night and you're enjoying your weekends and your days off with your family, they're working 24/7, 365 days a year. They're not with their families, and they're not home on the holidays. They're vigilant, they're awake, and they're protecting and serving our community. So God bless those men and women of the Hammond Police Department. Take care of them, bless them as they routinely go through their day. And thank you for the 7 men that have served our community but are no longer with us.
Thank you, Linda, for those words of inspiration. I would now like to invite Chief of Police John Doty to come forward for the roll call of our fallen officers.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. I especially wish to thank those not in uniform today for joining us in a very solemn occasion where we must think back to the losses we've suffered. Today starts a normal day. For me, it was just meetings in the office. But then when you sit down in the chair and the music starts, and you start to think why we're really here today, and you start to think about your career and the things you've been through and the things you've seen and the things you've had to do and endure to even be here today with you is sort of staggering to the heart. I look around and I see some officers around here standing here today that I've personally been in situations with that I know we've struggled for our own lives so that we can go home to our families. We've been in those positions. We've realized those situations. We fought our way through it. And I'm just happy to be here myself, and I'm happy that they're here with me. We have a lot of younger officers here today that I know have taken our stead on the street, and they've now taken up the fight in our place. And they're facing those dangers each and every day while we are not. And I appreciate what you do every day, and you are in my thoughts and my prayers, and for your safe way home each and every night. I'd like to thank the American Legion for donating the flags here. When they gave them to us, I saw the great sense of pride that they took, knowing these flags flying today would be part of our ceremony. As a military man myself, I have a great sense of nationalism. These flags mean a great deal to me, as much as I hope they do to you. They stand for everything that we are. We have a great history, a storied past, and great stories to tell. And it's my wish that they endure for a long time in the future. The first officer to give his life was Detective Sergeant Leo Fox, a veteran with 5 years on the job. He responded with 3 other police officers to a Calumet Avenue apartment on October 8, 1929. He was investigating an armed robbery. The 4 police officers exchanged gunfire with 6 gunmen, and Detective Fox was killed. Captain George Hammond was the next officer to lose his life in the line of duty. Captain Hammond was directing traffic at the scene of an accident in the early hours on May 15, 1937, in Gosman, Florida, when he was struck by a drunk driver and killed. Hammond had 36 years on the police force and was preparing to retire. On January 10, 1947, the Hammond Police Department suffered its most tragic day when it lost 2 brave officers. Police Officer Donald Cook and John Gurka were killed by gunfire when they stopped a stolen car in the early hours by Kentwood School. Gurka served for about 2 years and was an Army veteran who came home safe from World War II. Cook had only been a police officer for 4 days and wasn't carrying a gun when he was shot and killed. Officer Frank Dunn was walking a beat near the old federal courthouse on June 1st, 1961, when a suspect who later stated he just wanted to see what it was like to kill a cop shot him several times, killing him. Dunn was a 10-year veteran of the Hammond Police Department. The last officer killed in the line of duty was Larry Pasala. Larry was on the force about 7 years when he lost his life on November 14, 1980, when he walked into an armed robbery, was shot and killed, left behind a wife and 2 children. It's my hope that under my tenure, or the future chief's tenure, we're going to have another name for that wall. We strive to train, we strive to be the best, we strive to be safe and work together every day so that does not happen. And I'd like to ask, before you adjourn today, before we're finished, that you remember these officers that we've named today, and you keep them in your hearts for a while. And maybe more importantly, the officers that are here today, the officers who serve us every day, keep them in your hearts for a while. Continue to pray for their safety as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Doty. I would now like to invite the Chief, followed by the active and retired officers present, along with other police department personnel, to file by the Star of Honor, placing a white carnation into the star as they pass, while the Region Police pipes and drums play Amazing Grace.
ask that you again bow your heads as we pray for God's benediction. Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them. May they rest in peace. May their souls and all the souls of the faithfully departed through the mercy of God rest in peace. We ask you, dear Father, not only to grant peace to our fallen officers, but also to remember their families. We ask you to grant protection also to those who serve our community now and our country, and grant that one day we may see those who have fallen and be with them in a place where there is no more violence, but the peace that has conquered all. We ask this through you who live and reign forever and ever.
I would once again thank each and every one for joining us today. For the words of wisdom and comfort spoken here today, I would like to leave you with a quote that is located on the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington. It's not how these officers died that made them heroes, it's how they lived. By Vivian Annie Cross, she's a survivor. This concludes our service, and I would like to invite you to enjoy some refreshments inside. Thank you very much.